We are here at police headquarters to watch what the police do on a day-to-day basis, and we're going to start off by meeting the Chief Constable Giles York and asking a few questions about his job.
Cheers. How are you?
It's Giles.
Nice to see you. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to 24 Hours Live, opened by Cheers. Can we have a seat? Have a chair.
So we're just going to ask a few questions about the job and how life is. So, what made you want to join the police force, Giles?
I thought about it a bit. When I came to the end of university, I looked at several different jobs. You're a law graduate, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I met some lawyers, and I met some accountants, and I met some marketeers and people. And generally, do you know what they all said to me? It's really boring, it's really long hours, it's really hard work, but the money's good eventually. And I just thought to myself, do you know what? I want something more than that. And so the only person who came to see me, who said, I cannot wait to get back to work on Monday, was a police officer who was on foot patrol in Islington at the time, and he's still a friend today. It's a fantastic job. Every rank is different. You get the chance to do so many different roles during your career. Some careers can go vertical like mine, where I've been lucky enough and privileged enough to end at the top of an organisation as good as Sussex Police. Other people will take lateral paths, become dog handlers, become detectives, and even some say, actually, do you know what, I just love response policing. And in the last few years, we had an officer in Brighton recognised because she stayed on the ground level of policing in Brighton for nearly 30 years. But the variety in my job today, sorry, go on.
I was just going to ask, how long have you been a police officer?
Just over 24 years.
Oh, wow.
So,
don't look a day over 21. What's the most enjoyable aspect of your job?
I think even today, it's the variety. It's the ability to still do the local stuff. So if you take just this week now, because we're Friday morning, Monday, I started in this office with an informal meeting with all of my chief officers, where we catch up on what's happened the week before, what's happened over the weekend, what we're doing the week ahead. On Monday evening, I was at a public meeting with the Commissioner, Katie Bourne, and with Nev Kemp, the local Chief Superintendent Commander there, and an audience of somewhere probably between 50 and 150 of anybody of the public in Brighton and Hove or across Sussex to come and ask us about policing. So that alone was Monday, it was a really local touch. On Tuesday, I spent with the command team here about the top 20 leaders in the organisation in Sussex. And in the evening, I joined some of our partners, again on a public panel in Brighton, talking about why don't we have enough women leaders, not just in policing, but right across society. On Wednesday, I spent all day with the Chief Constable of Surrey Police, and with our kind of about 50 of our top 150 leaders across the two forces. And then just yesterday, I spent the day up in London doing national work. And in the morning, I was with the head of the Crown Prosecution Service, the head of the Court Service, a few judges, talking about digital evidence. And in the afternoon, I was privileged enough to experience a briefing from the National Crime Agency on some of the national threats affecting us today, like child sexual exploitation, terrorism, and other aspects like that coming through from there. So for me, the variety of the week in this role really is from cycling on the pavement in Brighton, who are the leaders who are within our organisation today, trying to find a model for policing for the future, and trying to influence policing at a national level with our partner agencies there.
I imagine being Chief Constable must be a really difficult job and brings a lot of pressure. So what do you find is the most challenging aspect of your role?
My role is made incredibly easy by having a fantastic team around me and a huge amount of support. There's about 5,000 to 6,000 people working for and with Sussex Police as volunteers and others. Wearing that shirt today, I count you amongst that number, Chiz, as one of those people who just make my job really easy. The vast majority of them come in each day and work incredibly hard to make a positive difference for the public. We do sometimes, and rarely, find people who fall below the standards that we'd expect them to live by and work by. We now have the National Code of Ethics, which we're signed up to, and we're becoming increasingly incredibly clear when people fall below that standard, they will be dealt with.
Okay.
But every day I get a report come through into my inbox, in my email, and it's the Chief Constable's overnight report, the Chief Constable's summary. And usually it is an account of brave things that are going on, tragic things that have happened to individuals across the force, life-changing events, and how we are really trying to help them to get through some really difficult times. And that's what I say to every new recruit, really. I say they're a bizarre character, because they have volunteered to work with people who are really reaching out for help, often when other people have failed them.
Okay, so you've been a police officer for 24 years.
Yes.
What is the highlight of your career so far? So you've got a long way to go.
There are many highlights.
Yeah.
One of my favourite jobs was custody sergeant.
Oh well.
Because it's enshrined in law that nobody can tell you what to do. Actually, it's only you who can make the decision, and somebody else can come and make a different decision at a rank above you, but they can't tell you what to do.
Oh well.
Divisional commander in the Medway towns was fantastic as well, as a real understanding of partnership working. Assistant Chief Constable in South Wales was a fabulous role for the breadth of it, but there's no way I would ever say that this role is not literally the pinnacle of the career. And incredibly enjoyable with the team I've got around me, the experiences I'm exposed to, and the opportunities like this. Because I've met you 3, 4, 5 times now. So I think the last time after meeting the Youth Commission, I've said it's always invigorating. I welcome difference in challenging thinking, challenge the ways we've done. And the thing that the Youth Commission have done is they haven't stuck to safe subjects in any way at all. They've really picked on some quite crunchy subjects and put policing on the spot and challenged what we think is normality.
Yeah. Just for people who don't know, Youth Commission's a group of 28 young people who just look at policing in Sussex and have conversations with the Chief Constable and Katie Bourne about what could be done to help young people. So, just been new in Sussex. Okay, one late question. If you weren't a police officer, what could you imagine yourself doing instead?
I don't know. That's a good question, James. One of the things I'd always wanted to do is work for myself, or be self-employed in some way. I once had a plan with a friend at university that I'd train to be an accountant, he'd train to be a lawyer, and we'd find each other in 10 years' time, and we'd have that idea, that Dragon's Den moment, when we could do something. But again, my wife was self-employed for a while, and I thrived on running her business, the marketing of it, and all that goes with it. So I think if I wasn't a police officer, I'd like to work for myself.
Oh, nice. Interesting answer. Can we get a shot of Giles' name badge? This is very cool. I think that's very cool. What's the typical day for you? Just if you was to wake up, talk us through from like 6 o'clock, I imagine you wake up?
I probably wake up anything from 5 o'clock onwards. I'll probably see what's happened on the email. I'm sad enough that I'm now going to log onto a computer from anywhere. I'll walk the dogs, or sometimes run with the dogs if I've got the energy to do that as well.
Yeah.
And then it's pretty much as I described to you this week. It could be anything, locally here or up in London, or any of those things really. I'll quite often try and get out and actually visit the staff on the ground as well. I'm going to mention this badge really, really quickly because Jill, who's not quite in shot, but if you pan over there, you'll see her as she disappears through the door, is just hurrying me up a bit. This is a fabulous lady on Twitter, whose name just eludes me at the moment, but it's kind of the human piece. And I saw some of our new recruits in training the other day, and it was kind of, this is how you'll do a stop and search. And it said, go up to them and explain the grounds and tell them objectives and tell them whatever. And actually, while I was in the room, I said to the trainer, could you change that slide for me? Could you add a bullet point at the front? And could you change that bullet point to hashtag how my name is? Could we make this a human interaction? And that's absolutely what that is about.
Nice to talk to you, Giles.
Hey,
He's at CC Giles York on Twitter.
Brilliant.
Can I have a speak, please?
Of course you can. Absolutely. Take a handful for the team, cheers. They'll need it. It's a long day and it's wet out there.
Thanks for your time.
Hey,
I'm sure.
no. Thank you. Have a really good day. Take care. Cheers, Drew.
So now we're going to do a tour of headquarters.
Yeah, so we're just going to do a tour of headquarters just to look around the grounds.
Chase has been to the PCC's office quite a few times, but not to here, so we're going to take him round. So, Chase, if you want to follow me.
So this is Vicky sitting here, who's one of my staff, Drew.